Alright, this video is completing the square, and these are the harder problems. The reason why they're hard is because when you have a x squared, when you have standard form, the b is odd in all of these problems. So when the b is odd, then you always get a fraction. And really, the reason these are a little bit harder is because you have to deal with fractions. But you can add fractions, you can do them in your calculator, you got this. The other reason these are hard is because I put a number in front of, I put a number here for a. Instead of it being 1, now it's a number. And so you have to do that first step in completing the square. You have to divide by the leading coefficient. Okay, here's the first example. This is actually a problem on the homework. The first step is to add 81 to both sides. Add the constant. There you go. The next step is to take half of b. So b is the -7. -7 divided by 2. And then you square that. So -7 squared is 49. And 2 squared is 4. So that's where I get the 49 over 4. I have to add that to both sides. Alright, so you should be recognizing this pattern, that when you take half of b, this is what you get for your factor here. Like this, when you factor it out, when you factor out the perfect square, it's always whatever that half of b is, x minus 7 squared. So on this other side, I'm going to add 81, subtract 3, and get 78. And then I'm going to add 78 to 49 over 4. So in order to do that, you have to add like terms. So I had to get a 4 in the bottom of the fraction. So I give this one a 4 on the top and the bottom. When you did 4 times 78, you get 312. And 312 plus 49 gives you the 361 divided by 4. The next step, to get rid of the squared, you take the square root. So you take the square root of both sides. When you do that, you get plus or minus. Square root of 361 is 19, and square root of 4 is 2. To finish this problem, I add the 7/2 to both sides. So this is kind of one way to write the answer, even though I don't think it has a lot of meaning. So I think you should really finish this problem off and get both answers. 19/2 plus 7/2 gives you 26 over 2, which is 13. And minus, or negative 19 plus 7 gives you negative 12 over 2, which is the negative 6. Okay, this next problem, it starts out 7n squared minus 14n minus 50 equals 6. It's the blue problem. The first thing you need to do is divide everything by the leading coefficient with it, which is 7. So divide everything by 7. Great. Then you add the constant to the other side. So I add, the constant is this, and I have to add that negative 50 over 7 to the other side. So that's where I did that. Okay. Anytime you add the constant to the other side, you should leave a blank, because now you're going to complete the square on the left side. So to complete the square, you take half of b, and b was negative 2. You square it, and you get negative 1. You square negative 1, and that's 1. Negative 1 times negative is 1. So I add that 1 to both sides. This is where I'm doing that. Add the 1 to both sides. So on the left side, you write it out in orange here. N minus 1 squared. That is the perfect square. The factors of the perfect square. On the right side, I have to add all these fractions. 6/7, 57ths, and 1. So I just made 1 7/7. Then I added all that stuff up. When you add all that stuff up, you get 63/7. To finish the problem, I take the square root of both sides. Well, you also have to know that 63 divided by 7 is 9. Take the square root of both sides. You get plus or minus 9, square root of 9. But square root of 9 is 3. 3, so I'm right here now. Square root of 9 is plus or minus 3 right here. Okay. Then the big finish. You have this. N minus 1 equals plus or minus 3. And the big finish is to add this 1 to both sides and get n by itself. So this is kind of the final answer, even though I think that you should always write out the two answers if you can. 3 plus 1 is 4. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Final answers. Thanks for watching.